All right, badass thing I shouldn't own, but I do. I really like this topic. This is that thing, where, you make a little bit of money and there's something you always wanted and you go out and get it and then you get it. And as much as you're excited that you have it, there's a part of you that says in the back of your head, this isn't really made for me. This is made, for some badass guy that got into a bunch of bar fights, and banged the hottest chicks in town. You know what I mean? That type of shit. It's like, I have a Gibson Les Paul guitar and I absolutely fucking love it. But there is this part of me whenever I put it on and I see myself in the mirror with it, I'm just like, I don't, you think you're going to look like Slash or Jimmy Page and you don't. You just look like a dad, who went to some fucking, I don't know, a guitar center. Anyway, badass thing I shouldn't own, but I do. Dear Baron von Burgundy Balls. I like that. You gave me a little nobility there. About 6 months ago, my brother and I inherited an old Kawasaki motorcycle from our uncle. That's fucking awesome. That's something that I owned and I knew. I owned a Triumph Bonneville for about 6 weeks, and I was just like, yeah, this isn't me. Although I think a Ducati might be me, This thing is beautiful. It's been living under a tarp in his garage literally since the 1970s. It looks like it just rolled out of the showroom. I'll tell you right now, if you want to sell it, I know Dean Del Rey will buy that in a second. The two of us decided that we'd learn to ride and would share custody of the bike. This is such a great story so far. My brother has fulfilled his side of the bargain, but being the bitch that I am, I've been dragging my heels on actually taking the plunge and learning to ride the bike. To be honest, the prospect of having an accident scares the living shit out of me. Then you shouldn't ride, because that was what I was like. And I can't decide if it's worth the risk. If I ever ended up in a wheelchair or worse, I'd honestly rather be dead. Yeah, man. I mean, with the amount that people are texting out there, it's like everybody out there has a couple, 2, 3 drinks in them. And I just don't feel like losing a leg and shit, Not only could I I'd lose a leg, I couldn't play drums anymore, Fuck that. Anyway, it's still not or at least I'd have to adjust how I play it. Anyway, it's not the motorcycle that I'm writing to you about. It's a badass leather biker jacket that I bought when I was still entertaining the idea of riding the bike. I bought the jacket secondhand, and it's literally the toughest piece of clothing I've ever seen. It's made in Melbourne, Australia, where I live, in the 1960s, and at some point thereafter had an eagle painted on the back. Think more Hell's Angels than Ed Hardy. It's also got those metal studs on the shoulders. Oh, there's the picture. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a badass jacket. When I wear this thing, I feel like the toughest man alive, which I'm clearly not, given that I'm too scared to actually ride a motorcycle. But I also wondered where the jacket came from and worried that I'm unwittingly representing a biker gang. I keep waiting for an irate bikie in a matching jacket to approach me and ask, where the fuck did you get that? Anyway, I have no intention of getting rid of the jacket, even though I am a pussy and a total poser. I've attached a photo for your enjoyment. Keep up the good work and go fuck yourself, you bald-headed motherfucker. First of all, I don't think you are a pussy. It takes a strong man to admit that they're too afraid to do something, and not the amount of guys that were like, I don't want to look like a pussy, and then died. You don't want to be that guy. And I'll tell you something. That's one of the great things about getting older is you don't give a fuck. People ask you something and you feel fear and you validate it. You're like, I'm not doing that shit. And then you know what happens 9 times out of 10? The other guys just laugh. I bet that would still happen when you learn. What are you, chicken? No, I'm smart. Go ahead. I want to see you do it. Go get yourself all fucked up. I'll be over here with my intact skeletal system.